What's going on, everyone? Let's get this started. Gonna send out the social media stuff. There we go. All right. This is episode 6 now of Poker Out Loud that we're going to be going over from Solve for Why. And following that will be episode 65 of the Raisin the Nuts live stream, the live stream. I'm going to give a few minutes for everybody to come in. This is a pretty good episode, I think, of Poker Out Loud. Has some pretty big pots and a lot of hands that I'm involved in, so that's obviously good for me to talk about. We're going to give a little bit of time for everybody to come in. While I'm waiting for everybody to come in, when you watch the replay, hit the like button if you're just joining me now, and if you're watching the replay, hit the like button, please. A couple different things to talk about. Jody and I do the Raisin Nuts podcast every Wednesday, 5 a.m. Eastern. It comes out. We've done 88 episodes so far. Hopefully you guys like that, and we'll check it out. If you do like it, if you can leave us a review on Apple, that would mean a lot to us. It's the best thing that we have going on right now, I think, as far as everything, because I don't have obviously a lot of content going up with the channel aside from the live stream. So so check out the podcast, and if you would like to get any Raisin Nuts merchandise or any other cool poker merchandise, go to pokerrags.us. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat here. If you're watching this on replay, feel free to ask any questions in the comment section. I'll respond to you. I've been responding to some comments on the Solve for Why video also. You'll see I actually have the comment here, right here on the screen. I think it'll come up when I scroll up. It says, YouTube comment pros, when Landon has ace-ace there. Obviously, Ethan should fold. Who gets in 200 big blinds with Jack-Jack? What a fish. YouTube comment pros when Landon has ace-5. Obviously, Ethan should jam. Who folds jacks? What a fish. Yeah, so... Wait, did I actually scroll it up? I don't think I scrolled it up enough. There you go. There it is. But, this comment section... Obviously, people should just stay out of the comment sections because it's just something. Nobody knows what the hell they're talking about. But it's pretty comical to read a lot of these things that people are saying in here. And I've done that on some of the past streams. But yeah, let's just get into watching here because I think there's a lot to talk about. Let me talk to you guys here. Let me answer these questions here. What's up, Dalton? How's it going? Thank you very much. He said, great podcast. What's up, Daniel Kim? I'm doing great. Been very busy this week. Been very busy as usual, obviously. David, what's going on? Would you want to do another Poker Out Loud if given the chance? Yeah, I would definitely do it again. Honestly, I hope that I have the opportunity to do it again. I was not in a great state of mind going out there. It was just not in a good state of mind. And when I was there, I felt like I did my best, but I feel like I could do better. That doesn't make sense, I guess. So I feel like I could do a lot better, especially like having watched the show now and seeing how the format is. I think I could explain myself a little bit better and talk a little bit more about what's going on, game flow, and things like that. So I would definitely like the opportunity to do it again. Tonight is not the podcast, Daniel Kim. Come on, you know better than that, man. Let's go. All right, let's get some, do the play every hand challenge rules next time. Also, by the way, so this is just, I wasn't sure if this was going to happen or not, but for those of you in the area, tomorrow night, Jody and I will be up at Parks with some of the guys from Stacking Our Chips. I did an interview on their channel with Keith, Pan, and Ed, and I did an interview on their channel a couple weeks ago. If you look, search for Stacking Our Chips on YouTube. I'll post a link here in the chat for you guys if you want to check that interview out, and I'll be hanging out with those guys tomorrow night at Parks if anybody is around and wants to come out and hang out with me and Jody also. Let me look up that, and I'll post that here, and then we'll get started on the clip here. Here we go. Gonna post the link to that in here. So definitely check out that channel, Keith's channel. He's an awesome dude. So there you go. Dalton said, would you say you were soft mentally but now are in much better headspace for a game like that? Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, soft is one thing. Obviously, I talked about that on the podcast a couple weeks ago. I had a lot of stuff going on in my life, and I wasn't dealing with it in an appropriate way during that time. And I get seasonal depression. It was dark. It was cold. In February, that is what I'm saying. So, I think that would be in a better headspace to properly communicate my thoughts if I were to play on Poker Out Loud again. Hopefully it would be in a better time for me. All right, let's hit play. Let's get going here and get started. How's the sound? Let me know how the sound is for this, guys. I always double check on that. I don't ever change the settings, so hopefully it's fine. I'm going to make me a little bit smaller here. There we go. All right, so this first hand's a big one. So I think Matt opening Jack-8 offsuit here, it was pretty interesting. Matt was really getting after it despite having probably the worst seat at the table, I think, as far as who was going to be coming after him a lot. So I don't think opening Jack-8 offsuit. First of all, Jack-8 offsuit is not an open anyway in the cutoff. I don't think. Maybe no rake environment could be justifiable, but especially with somebody like myself who's going to attack from the button pretty aggressively, I think it's probably just too wide to open. If I had to guess, he's probably targeting Rampage's big blind quite a bit here. But it's just tough because you have to get through me and Landon both. So I think it's probably too wide to open, as evidenced by the fact that I'm going to be 3-betting here with 8-6 suited, which is... All right, we're going to put a 3-bet here with our hand. It's a little wide, but, we're going to get in there after Matt's cutoff opens. Race. So people noted that my sizing here was different than previous 3-bets, and that's because I'm 3-betting in position here. So if you remember, my sizing was also pretty small when I 3-bet the jacks in position as well. But in that spot, it was a small blind versus big blind spot where I expected him to defend a little wider. So I actually still 3-bet a little bit bigger. Here, when I'm on the button, I can 3-bet to a smaller amount, and that's going to be my 3-bet sizing from the button in these spots. Has nothing to do with the strength of my hand. If I had aces, it would be 100 also. Whereas when I was out of position, my 3-bet sizings were, so from the small blind, I was going to 150, and then from the big blind, I think I went to 160. So they're just going to be larger from out of position.
So he's going to open pretty wide from the cutoff.
Look how happy he is.
And we know that Mr. Trey Mommy, thanks to...
He called me Trey Mommy. Trey Mommy, it's Trey Mommy.
Go for a gold 4 here. And hide my excitement. We're going to go... I think we're going to go like 375, the same thing we did last time we were out of position. Actually, no. Yeah, we're out of position. So we can just go 375 again. First hand right off break, huh?
375.
I'm going to let you hear their thoughts, and I'm going to weigh in here, okay?
What the hell now? Well, nice welcome back into this new orbit here. Huh. Alright, so, raise 3-bet, 4-bet, and now we're sitting with jacks and 5-betting. I never really 5-bet jacks before, and, now, do we just, get it in?
You got to feel for Ethan a little bit here, because this is clearly a very uncomfortable situation for him. He's probably never been in this spot ever in poker, where it's a cutoff open, a button 3-bet, a small blind 4-bet, and from 3 aggressive players whose ranges are going to be very wide in this spot. And this is very evident. First of all, the fact that Ethan's never been in this spot is not surprising, right? He's only been playing for a couple of years. He plays mostly smaller stakes games. You're not going to be playing aggressive people. But the people who comment on this hand in the comment section have also never been in this spot. And they don't understand the dynamics that take place in an aggressive game in an aggressive environment like this. And so you see all these people in the comments talking about how Rampage just punted off chips here. And, oh my God, this is not even a cooler. How's it a cooler? Is getting 180 big blinds in with jacks. That's not a cooler. Well, in these situations, I'm going to let Ethan talk because you'll see he's very unsure of what to do.
I have 1,800, 180 bigs, and got 375 out of position. It's a pretty large 4-bet over Trevor's 3-bet.
Sound guy, you went volume higher on the video? Is that right?
Wow, what the hell is happening? What I have noticed is that Trevor's 3-betting size has usually been like 4 or 5x, pretty large, but now he's going 3x. Maybe it's just because he's in position.
Yes, that's right.
Against the cutoff, but wow. I really don't have much of a decision here. If someone has an overpair, so be it. But there's no real... cold calling a 4-bet just seems really bad. And I think we're just going to rip it in. And if we get stacked, we get stacked. So, we'll do it.
All right, so his analysis is actually correct here. He can't really do much other than jam in this spot. When I 3-bet, my range is going to be very wide. When landing cold 4-bets, he's also going to have a pretty wide range. And jacks don't block pretty much any of that range. Maybe some ace-jack offsuit that cold 4-bets, but he doesn't have a hand like ace-queen is much worse hand in Ethan's spot than jacks here. And so, yeah, he doesn't really have much of an option. And, yeah, it's just a pretty easy shove for him. And unfortunate that he ran into 2 big hands here. Or, I'm sorry, not 2 big hands. One big hand here. Yeah, so, that's really all there is to it. The cutoff button, small blind in this exact environment are going to be playing very, very aggressively. And if you're folding a hand as good as jacks here, you're going to be in trouble. Even when he jams and gets called, he's not going to be in the worst shape ever. He's going to get called by ace, king, queens, kings, and aces. And then 10s are probably going to find a fold from Landon, I'm going to guess. But, yeah, there's just too much money out there already. And he has jacks. It's just an easy fold. Easy jam. I'm sorry. Catching up to video here. Sound guy, so it's as loud as it can go. So I move my microphone back a little bit. Let me get up here. Let's see. Have they ever done a PLO, Poker Out Loud? Not that I am aware of. I don't think so. I would love to do that. That'd be fun. Yes, first time ever said that. Make yourself a little bit smaller. What's up, Kratok? How's it going? So yeah, he should not be folding in this spot. It's just a cooler. It's just an unfortunate situation. If he gets up to something like maybe when he gets to say 220 big blinds. I'm trying to figure out where the cutoff point is. There becomes a cutoff point where instead of jamming, you just can make a cold 5-bet, or you can flat the 4-bet cold. And in that case, you're going to have to do some maneuvering here. The thing is that these situations don't come up that often, so it's hard to figure out like how you're going to construct your range for cold calling versus jamming, and the stack sizes are going to be very dependent on that. But yeah, I think this is just a slam dunk jam. I would not fold, and I would not cold call. I would definitely jam. Let me just update here. Yep, looks like it's good. Okay.
All in. All in.
We gotta pause it right there on Landon. Look at Landon's face. That's ridiculous. This is a new pro face. This is the face of knowing that I have aces and I just got this ridiculous action to take place in front of me, and now I'm gonna cooler jacks.
Alright, well, obviously, I stepped out of line at the wrong time. I think I just made somebody a lot of chips here.
Hey, if you guys are here, make sure you hit that like button.
Obviously, I can't continue in any sort of fashion. I would have been folding at any of these raises, and to all of them, I'm still folding.
That didn't go according to plan.
Oh, that's great.
You guys set up the deck on break?
I had it. I had it all.
Oh, that or
Ace 4? No. I mean, I had you beat on that board.
it would be hard not to have me beat on that board.
Good hand.
So they're gonna.
All I can say is it's good to be Landon.
This is how I moved up in stakes so fast.
Well, that seems easy.
Yeah.
Here's a good question here from Crate Talk. What would be your bluffs as the big blind? Ace, queen, and jacks, and ace, king as value. So I don't think it's necessarily a spot where you need to have bluffs per se, because you're going to jam ace, king also. So you just jam jacks plus an ace, king, and that works out fine. Like you don't need to jam hands like. I mean, you could be wild and throw in some like ace 5 suited jams or something if you wanted to get really out of line. But I think you're fine just jamming a range of jacks plus an ace king. And that's fine. Just because you're putting the 5th bet in there and it doesn't have to be crazy wide to do so. So yeah, I really wouldn't have maybe mixing some ace queen suiteds in there. But then again, the thing is like when you have a hand like ace queen, you really want... it's okay. I mean, you really want Landon to have an ace in his hand a lot of the time. And when you have a hand like ace queen, it blocks it. Obviously, the same thing can be said for ace king, but ace king is just blocking aces and kings is just a lot stronger. And yeah, I don't think you need to go crazy with coming up with some other bluff combinations here.
In a normal game, I think it's a fold, given the dynamics, because normally people don't actually 4-bet light. In that specific game, in that specific formation, given the last 3 people to act did something, it makes it a little bit trickier. But when you think about it, like, the hands that are going to call my 5-bet shove have me absolutely crushed, or we're flipping, it's just ace-king. So in that scenario, I'm probably, in the hands that call me, my equity is like 35% or something like horrifically low. And
that's not horrifically low, though.
Is ace-queen, 9s, 8s, 7s, 10s. And
all right, so here's something that people forget often. First of all, 35% is not that bad. Second of all, there's fold equity pre-flop. So you have to decide what percentage of the time this is going to get through, and then how much you're going to pick up just dead money without even getting to showdown. So there was $375, $475. There's already $550 in the pot. So there's 55 big blinds in the pot already, and we're jamming 180. I'm not good at poker math, so I don't need to do this, but you can then figure out the percentage of the time that your jam just gets through where everybody folds. And then if it does get called and you have 35% equity, you know, obviously it's not great. You're not like, oh, this is amazing. I got 35% equity against the hands that call me. But because of the fact that there's fold equity, you have to remember that. So Ethan made the correct play here in game, but is having a little bit of the results-oriented flair of things, which is very common in poker and which is it's how people think, because he ran into aces. If Landon had ace 5 suited and he just snap folded to the jam and he picks up $550, nobody even discusses it. Like, they don't even talk about how, oh, Rampage is such a fish putting in 180 big blinds with jacks there.
And I have 3 other people to kind of like battle against and get through. So it might be a fold. I could have talked myself into it if I knew what I know now, but that's another learning experience.
So like that's not a learning experience. Like he did the right thing. So this is why it's so hard to get better at poker, because people don't understand what they need to focus on. and it's very easy to be swayed by the results. I'll get caught up with you guys here. Let's see. Dalton had a dad joke. He said, when I was a kid, my mother told me I could be anyone I wanted to be. Turns out identity theft is a crime. There you go. There's a dad joke. No, and Jody, I see you chatting. I'm trying to keep track of the poker here. Would it be wrong to think that Landon could have had a big 4-bet range in that situation and think Landon was 4-betting light? I assume you think I assume you're saying Rampage could think Landon was 4-betting light, and he definitely could have a large if that's going to be the spot that Landon aggressively cold 4-bets the most, because Matt's going to be opening wide, I'm going to be 3-betting very wide. He knows those things, so he can put in the cold 4-bet there with a very appropriate bluffing range that includes a lot of suited ace-x hands and a lot of other stuff. So when you have a hand like jacks, it just makes it so easy to jam. If you had ace-king or queens in that spot instead of a suited connector and faced a 4 and 5-bet, what would you have done when it got back to it? Great question, David. It's tough. I think I'd have to really think that through. Ace-king would probably be a fold. And then queens I have to go with, I think. I don't know. I have to think it through a lot. I'd have to be back in the situation and remember kind of what my read on the situation was. Honestly, I think in game I thought that Landon was pretty strong. And then when Rampage jammed, I assumed that he had jacks plus. So I don't know. I'd have to put myself back in my shoes there. I think the general range of maybe you go with ace-king too. Maybe a queens plus an ace-king. I don't know. I have to think about it more. But in game, I think I probably would have folded. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's really a tough one. For example, ace-queen off, which Landon is definitely capable of 4-betting and folding to a 5. Yeah, definitely true. Jacks probably get through half the time, less than a normal game, but it's not a normal game. Exactly, Craig Talk. That's the point here for sure. In a normal game, in a normal 2-5 game, you can fold jacks pre-flop here. No problem. It goes open, 3-bet, 4-bet, put jacks in the muck because people are not going to be playing super aggressively. In this lineup, in this game, it's very easy.
Don't have to say too much here. The last hand was obviously just everybody running into huge hands. This is still going to be an open, still going to be using the same sizing.
Ready?
What's up, Pan?
Alright, well, small blind here facing a, +1 hijacker open. This is probably going to be an easy defend. 3-betting this probably gets us into trouble, so, out of position, it kind of sucks, but we'll just keep the pot manageable.
So my general plan in these spots would be to 3-bet or fold from small blind, just because it plays so much better to take the aggressive route and have the initiative. You can win pre-flop. A lot of good things can happen. You being 200 big blinds deep, you have a hand you can call a 4-bet with also. And obviously you knock the big blind out. So I would just be 3-betting Ethan's hand here because you don't want what ends up happening to happen.
Cool.
I definitely don't think we can call, but can definitely squeeze, and I think I want to do that. I'm going to go 6x. I'm going to go 180.
So this is not a squeeze that I would normally make with a6 offsuit. This is more of like a tournament type play where you can leverage your stack and just get lots of folds pre-flop. I really wouldn't anticipate many folds pre-flop here with this at this stack depth with Matt opening from the hijack. My guess is that this 3-bet is going to have a little bit more weight to it just because Marle has played very tight so far. So we're 63 hands in and she has not really gotten out of line at all. She's shown down kings and queens and really just hasn't played many pots. So if I were in Matt's shoes, I would still be 4-betting the king-jack offsuit just because we have good blockers and I would just anticipate that she just doesn't have much here, honestly. So I would probably 4-betting, but again, it's easy to see and say that when I see that Marley has ace-6 off here.
180.
What's the size?
180.
Alright, so this is sort of precarious. We're not particularly deep here, and although my hand could function a couple different ways, being in the middle and with a pretty high potential, I think, to play a three-way pot if I continue through a call here, kind of like a 4-bet or folding in this spot, and I don't think my hand is that great to do it with. I think suited, we could definitely call here, but offsuit, I'm just gonna kind of lean a little tight and fold. I think 1 pip up, I would probably also call or 4-bet, but we're gonna fold this one.
Yeah, I think most of his analysis there is good. I would call King Jack suited. I think you can just 4-bet the King Jack offsuit here. I mean, I would definitely just be getting way out of line in this spot and taking these opportunities, just because when you're 200 big blinds deep, people don't seem to 5-bet jam, take that opportunity to 5-bet jam that often, and we have blockers to obviously ace king and kings. But you know, I don't blame him in game for folding in this spot, given that Marley had played pretty tight so far. Jody, I love you, and I'm not ignoring you. And
right, well, I feel like I flatted for the same reasons why I might be folding here. Just because playing the small blind just really...
Take care, Leaf. Thanks for stopping by.
Especially with this hand.
We also have a problem here, guys. There's 28 people watching. Only 13 people have clicked the like button. Let's take care of that.
Really don't love folding these suited Broadway cards, but it's a really large 3-bet, and that's just going to make our life more easy if we fold this than play a pot post.
So here you see again, like, you got to feel for Ethan in this spot. Like, he put himself into this game, obviously, but he's not used to being in these situations, so he has no idea what to do and how to navigate pre-flop, because these situations simply just don't come up that often in low-stakes games. If you're playing 1-3 or 2-5, you're not every hand. Like, every hand here at this table has been 3-bet pretty much, and there's been a lot of aggressive pre-flop action. So you have to account for that when you construct your pre-flop ranges. And if you don't know how to construct them properly, you're just going to be lost, and you're going to end up folding away equity over and over again. Like in this particular spot, his hand has 47% equity against her hand. Now, obviously, playability post-flop is going to be a different situation because he's going to be out of position against her, but he wouldn't even have to be in that spot to begin with if he just 3-bet his hand to begin with. What's up, Mr. Robert Paul? Thank you. Kratok, agree with you. Oh, also, look at this. Okay, you guys see this right here? The profit and loss, right? We're 63 hands in so far, and all this shows you this doesn't show you anything to do with the individual player's skill. 63 hands in, extremely small sample. Who has had the best pre-flop hands? Landon by far has had the best pre-flop hands. I've had the second best by far. Like, the two of us have had the best pre-flop situations, and that's it. Like, we've had the best hands. We've had the best hands win at showdown, and Landon won the biggest pot, which is all of his profit, with aces against jacks all in pre-flop in a 4-bet versus 5-bet spot. So, and I won all of my profit so far in the hand where I 3-bet and flop top pair, turned a flush draw, and my hand held up to the river.
Alright, same old story. This hand's going to be good enough to open, playing 6 max here under the gun. Going to use the same size. Not much else to say.
30.
Alright, this hand is going to be probably a 3-bet, even though it is I historically have given the Unlean opener a much tighter range and a lot more respect, but let's just start amping up the aggression. We're in position, and this hand can play decent post, I guess. 100?
100.
Alright, so Rampage, Ethan here's been showing a willingness to 3-bet a fair bit. He's probably got the widest 3-bet range if I had to guess from the action that we've seen so far. I've also now folded several hands to re-raises, and this sizing coming down also makes me more inclined to call with a hand like this. So I'm just going to call. I don't think there's much need to fold.
I think both these look good pre-flop so far. And David said, in this lineup, would you ever have any flats with strong hands as a trap to get someone behind a squeeze? So I would, but it would be specifically mostly in situations where Johnny opens, just because I wouldn't be 3-betting Johnny as aggressively because he played the tightest. I say he played the tightest. He had the least amount of hands pretty much to open. So that's how it looks, obviously. Like when you're just sitting there and you don't see what people are opening, and if people are card dead or what, Johnny seemed to be playing the tightest out of everybody. So in spots where Johnny opens, and I'm in position, I might have some flats there, and honestly, it also functions some strong flats. And actually, you'll see that coming up, David, in one of the hands, the last hand of this session. I'll talk about it when we get there, but I'm not going to be 3-betting Johnny that often. And truth be told, the way you want to construct your pre-flop ranges is if you feel like somebody is one of the weaker players at the table, and at the time I wasn't sure because I didn't watch too much of everybody else's content, so I wasn't 100% sure, but I definitely had the best reads on Rampage for sure. So I wanted to keep him into pots if I could. So if I do have those are going to be some situations where if Johnny's opening and I'm on the button, that's going to mean Rampage is in the big blind. So I'm going to be incentivized to keep him in the pot. And then also it functions well to allow Landon or Rampage to squeeze from the blinds. And then obviously I can spring the trap with some of my strong hands. So that would be the spot that I would be flatting strong hands. If Matt opens, I'm probably just going to be 3-betting still because I would be 3-betting all of my strong hands in that spot as well. All my bluffs, excuse me. So that becomes a dynamic then where I would expect some more cold 4-bets to go in, and then that way I'm still going to get action. I don't have to worry about not getting action in that spot.
Okay.
I think this is just the board texture.
I want to go back 1 second because I'm going to see if this is something I noticed here.
Coming down also makes me more inclined to call with a hand like this. So I'm just going to call. I don't think there's much need to fold.
See, I don't know if you guys saw that. If you caught that little look that Matt did there, this is a live tell. When someone obviously when we're playing at the table here, we're not looking at each other's faces and we're not trying to read each other's lips or anything like that. But if you see a situation like this where there's a all one color flop and someone kind of does that little almost squint at the board and double check type thing, it's almost always that they have the flush draw on the board. And this is something I've seen for years that people don't even recognize that they do.
I think this is just the board texture we're going to continue with. We are facing an under the gun opening range, and I expect him to call very often. I thought I had the queen of spades, I don't. But I think we're just going to see bet here. Maybe, it might be ambitious to get some of his stronger ace X's to fold, but right now we're just going to continue the story of having a strong hand. So that 1/3 pot, that would be 70.
So this is a pretty good spot for Ethan here. Having king queen exactly, you're gonna get called on the spot by a bunch of ace high hands. But the goal here is to start betting, and you're just gonna barrel off on this board pretty much. You're gonna try to get pairs to fold, and you need to go maximum pressure because you have basically the nut bluffing hand to have here, not blocking spades, and being able to just put a lot of pressure. Repping, hands like jacks, queens, kings, and if they have a hand like 9s or 10s, it puts them in a very difficult situation. And a lot of times they're just going to have an ace-high hand that maybe can hold on for 2 streets, but usually isn't going to hold on for the 3rd, or just will always peel flop and not be able to peel turn. So this is an easy spot to start attacking.
70.
Alright, so obviously this is a board we will never fold on. But when we look at the types of hands that we can have here, and the hands that are in Ethan's range, I don't think we really have a check raise range for value here. I don't think I find my way into this pot with a deuce, except for maybe ace deuce suited. And besides pocket eights, I don't have anything like mega strong. The hands I could maybe think about check raising in certain dynamics would be like the small overpairs, but I don't think I'm realistically going to do that on a board like this. So therefore I'm not going to choose to check raise, even though my hand has tons of equity and can sort of force the issue here. I think it's just a board where I don't really check raise. So I'm going to just call, and then there's potential on some runouts to kind of get frisky and raise, but for the most part, I'm just calling down with ace high. It's going to be good sometimes, and I can obviously get there.
Is audio off for anybody else? Mr. Robert Paul said audio is off. Is everybody else okay? Matt's thoughts here are really good. I don't think you really want to be check raising much. Occasionally, if you flat a hand like aces and you don't 4-bet it, you can check raise this flop. Same thing with a hand like queens or kings as well. But those hands just make really a lot of sense to keep in your bluff catching range and just play as a check call, because your range is going to be really weak here. So you need to have some strong hands to check call with. Guys, thank you for all the questions in the chat. We'll get through this hand, and then I'll come to these questions, okay?
So obviously this is an interesting card. It tends to hit the pre-flop aggressor a bit harder than it does me. He'll have better kickers in range, since I do not 4-bet, and he's uncapped at ace king ace queen, whereas I'm usually capped probably below that. Maybe I can have offsuit ace queen. That being said, we both have a lot of ace-x in range, so I don't think there's any real desire to lead this card ever. So just going to stick with the plan, and now we have a lot more showdown value to go with it, so we'll be hard-pressed to find folds probably anywhere in this hand now.
Okay.
So seemingly what on the surface level, probably a really great turn card for us to keep barreling on. Issue is that hands and ranges that I'm putting him on, probably a mix of the issue is that he just has a lot more combos of suited aces and probably spades here, that he's forced to call a turn bet. But I think we find out and get more information when we fire out another turn bet here in C. But if we fire out and he calls, we're probably going to have to shut down river, because I think we're not really going to get on the fold if he calls this turn. So it's a decision point. See what kind of holdings he has. Maybe hands like 9s, 10s, jacks, or some 8-9 suited. Sometimes they can call flop, but this is just not a card that we can check through to continue our story here. So 340 in the middle, let's do 255, go from there.
So this is actually the best Rampage has sounded during the streams, I think, so far in this hand, talking about his thought process. I think the turn is actually, you can go a couple different ways with this turn. You don't have to auto barrel this turn. The reason being is you're going to have some value that checks back here. So you can go bet, check, bet with hands like queens and kings. The difficulty with that, with king, queen, is that you're essentially turning your hand into a bluff catcher on river if your opponent decides to bet river. So when you don't have a spade in your hand, that might be the better idea. But certainly betting here is not the worst plan. And then you can occasionally check back with some weaker ace-x hands as well. You can go a couple different ways here, because bet, check, bet is also going to work pretty well against the hands that you're targeting. When you're targeting hands like 6s, 7s, 9s, 10s, those hands are going to still be in a difficult situation, and you're going to have a little bit more clarity as well if you take the bet check bet line. The difficulty again with that is that if your opponent does bet river after you check back turn, now you're in a situation where you can potentially bluff catch the king queen. So I actually don't mind checking back here with king queen. I know it's a spot that people tend to just automatically barrel, and I don't know if it's actually correct. So again, because the other part of it is your opponent's going to have a lot of ace-x hands as well. So I think you may get better clarity on those hands by checking back turn and then bluffing river instead. But I think that's something that people don't do that often, and I'm not convinced that I'm right on it either. So
255.
Is that 255? Spot's 355. He bets 255. Sizing up here. Not too shocking to see a size like this, especially when we are so deep. Unclear if he's setting up for a river jam, but we still have a hand way too strong to fold. As we come to some rivers where we brick, we can maybe start to play around with the idea of folding, but I think that's going to be pretty tough based on what I know about Ethan. I think he's going to find some decent frequency of blasting off here. So for this street, for sure, very easy call. So obviously this card is great for us. The only thing I'm trying to figure out is if it ever makes sense to lead here, but I don't really think so. I think his strong top pairs are still going to feel comfortable enough to keep betting. He'll have some hands that can barrel off here as bluffs that we stop if we lead, and if he, is going to have a hand that is super nutted, like it's always going in anyway. Hands like king, queen of spades, king, jack of spades, etc. So just going to stick with the plan here and check.
Check.
Alright, he called turn, which really sucks for us, and we have no blockers to any spades, so certainly can blast off since I'm never good here with king high, but also it seems like a punt, so we're just going to give up, let him have it, and lose this one.
So I would be really interested to see what his plan was on a blank, if he was just like a non-spade, if he was going to go for it there. Because I think with exactly king, queen off, if you bet turn, I might just be going like for all of it on the river. It's 2x pot. I don't know if you want to do all of it. It's very difficult because when you bluff river in this spot, when the spade doesn't get there, you're really trying to get folds out of some of the weaker ace-x hands that peeled flop. And, you do want to try to come up with some hands that make sense to bluff with those, and I don't know which the right combos are to do that with, if king, queen offsuit is the combo to do it with or not. But you're also, if Matt's thinking like I would be thinking, and peeling turn again with 9s and 10s and 8-9 and hands like that, then you really have to follow through on river with a hand like king queen when you're betting turn. So yeah, I know it's difficult. I'd be interested to see what happened on a non-spade river. All right, let's go through some of these questions here. Wait, who's picking on Jody? Dalton, you take care of him. Respect to Ethan, tough lineup. Yep. Dalton said, I most likely 3-bet Matt, Ethan, and you in this lineup. Johnny and Marley played really tight, and Landon was getting hands all night. You still have to just come up with 3-bet ranges for everybody. You're going to be 3-betting everybody because it's going to require it. There's certain positions that maybe you might flat more often than 3-betting, but there's still hands that you're going to be 3-betting. What do you think the ideal strategy is for this table and format? It seems like the tendency for the table to get fancy out of line is high, so it seems like play snug and don't look to fold. So I don't think there was actually too much fanciness going on. It was more just like a lot of pre-flop aggression. But it was mostly pre-flop 3-bet aggression. So I would probably have just played even more hands, honestly. And I think I would actually try to get into situations where we get to play post flop a little bit more. But that's difficult, obviously, because you don't, in games that are heavy 3-bet games, you can't flat as often either. So it's hard to say again without, you have to figure out you have to just play based on what the hands that you receive are also in the situations that come up. And it's very easy to over adjust or under adjust based on what you see is happening. Like the first 15 hands, nothing happened. And it just seemed like everybody was playing tight. But if you look back at the distribution of hands, nobody had anything remotely playable. So that's just going to happen sometimes. What's up, Steve? Daniel said, would your 3-bet range have been far greater, and would you have played more hands if you were Marley's seat behind left of Ethan? Yes. Yes. If I had Marley's seat, I would have been... if I had Johnny's seat, I would have been playing incredibly aggressive. Well, no. It's hard to say. Because it depends on who's in my seat. So if Johnny's in my seat, yeah. I think I would have been playing very aggressively in that situation, for sure. I think Matt had probably the toughest seat, then maybe me. And it kind of goes around from there. So, but it also, again, card distribution plays a big part in this in a small sample size. What do you think about the WSOP being in person? How do you think they'll approach COVID cautions? I have no idea. We'll have to see how it is when that time rolls around. Not sure how they're going to address it. Want to know what's never off? Jody's look for the stream. That's true. Versus Ethan specifically, I think Raise is okay. He's probably the weakest player at the table and is most likely to play his hand value, not range, face up. Occasionally you get in versus withdrawal. Yeah, it's probably not the worst to raise that spot against Ethan. I also think it's fine to just call flop and call turn with ace high in that spot too, and be good a fair amount as well. So I don't think you can really go too wrong with either play. We got to speed up here, huh?
You're good at turning aces. And flopping aces.
That was not flush, right?
All of it.
Everything.
All right, here's the hand that everybody's talking about. Actually, in the live chat, they were.
30.
So this is a little bit loose, but in a Nurik environment, and he's probably putting a little bit too wide, it's going to be fine. And I'm not really going to get that much combat from the people behind me, as well as my range looks extremely strong, 3-betting around the gun range. So this is going to be shot up to about 100, and folding to a 4-bet. 100.
100.
Alright, we're just getting a lot of playable hands here right now, but offsuit variety of this hand, not ideal. I can't say I've ever 4-bet with this hand, but I don't think I'm going to do that now. Facing, I'm going to open, then +1 3-bets that. It's just too weak, and I think we're just going to be folding, although I hate folding.
Hunter?
Yep.
It's a tighter range situation where I won't have much of 4-bet range. So, and we're a little bit deeper also. So I'll just be calling and playing post flop. Okay, so a lot of people in the live chat had questions about why I wouldn't 4-bet this spot. And then you'll see they play a clip that I gave an interview afterwards. So I explain a little bit there, but I want to explain it here now. So we're 2,600 big blind, or sorry, 260 big blinds deep. Landon's played incredibly tight so far. He's only had good hands shown down pretty much. So at this point in the session, like I said, we're 64 hands in, and I always view people the way that I see it. Like coming in at first, without having any idea about playing with Landon or anything, you know that he's studied, you know that he pays attention to things. But once we start playing, I try to get a feel for how people are going to be constructing ranges and what I think they're going to be doing. And he seemed like he was just going to be playing pretty straightforward for the most part. I was very surprised, obviously, to see that he 3-bet ace-10 offsuit in the spot, because in-game, after seeing everything we had seen so far, I thought the vast majority of his range would be more linear in nature and not polar if he's going to be 3-betting here. And just in the sense that the hands that he's 3-betting, I thought he would be always flatting 4-bets with, and he wouldn't have 3-bet folds very often in this situation where I'm opening under the gun and he's next to act. So that's the first thing. So I didn't think I had much pre-flop fold equity, first of all. Second of all, I didn't think I'd have a lot of pre-flop clarity, meaning he's going to continue through a call versus my 4-bet the vast majority of the time with his entire range. Aces, kings, ace-king suited, and then suited connectors and all the other hands that he might be 3-betting in this spot. So I don't have a lot of clarity, and additionally, if I'm not going to be 4-betting this spot very aggressively, including a lot of bluffs and a lot of hands that can connect on a lot of board textures, we get in a situation where when you're 260 big blinds deep, where you have what looks like a very strong range to be 4-betting that can't handle aggression through 3 streets. So if I 4-bet to something like, say, 300, now there's 600 in the pot, and we have 2,300 behind. We have a SPR of 4. So I'm going to have to navigate multiple streets on this board. I can't just jam. For instance, if we were, let's say we were 100 big blinds deep, and I can 3-bet to 300 or 275, and create an SPR of a little over 1.5 maybe. Now we're only dealing with playing 1 street maybe, or 2 streets at most. And I don't have to worry about texture, having board coverage on multiple textures, because there's just not as much playability. He's not going to be able to defend hands like suited connectors as wide in this spot. So this is why I end up calling. And additionally, I can play my hand post flop, keep it a little bit, the strength of it disguised, and have a good bluff catcher on boards that he might choose to attack aggressively. For instance, the board that was 8 deuce deuce on the previous hand, that allows me to call down 3 streets. And if he does have aces or kings, obviously I run into it, but it allows him to bluff really wide.
So yeah, this is a really good board for our range, a really good board for our hand. And in a spot like this on a rainbow board, if you look at our suits, we have a heart and a spade, so we do block some of his continues backdoor hands like ace X of hearts and king X of spades. So in this spot, we're mostly going to bet really small with our entire range and expect a bunch of folds. And then depending on what the turn is, I'm probably mostly going to check to protect my range overall and be able to bluff catch on rivers. But I expect him to fold a lot here, so we're just going to go pretty small. There's about 215 in the pot. I think we're just going to go 70.
Obviously one of the worst flops for my hand. Even most of his 3-bet bluffs in this spot are going to be ace X type hands. He's going to occasionally have some suited connectors here that are going to be good. He's just going to be betting 100% of his range on this board. It's going to be pretty favorable to him. I will have ace king that I flat a bit, and then obviously some other ace X hands to continue with. So I think I'm actually just going to fold here, even though I think a lot of his suited connector bluffs are often just going to continue on turn. I'm just not going to be able to continue on this board with my hand very often, so I'm just going to let it go.
Aces?
Huh?
Aces?
Ace 4. No, sorry, ace 10. Oh, so 1 ace. Little loose, but.
I had queens.
Really? You should have told him to put a queen out there.
Yeah. This was a really interesting spot because Landon had played really tight so far, like at least, and he showed down all of his hands. He had premiums like every hand. So obviously you could be setting that up. Like I'm just going to show my premiums here since I have them. But he had played pretty straightforward. Now, I had opened under the gun, which I had been opening a lot in that position. So that would be the one thing that would make me want to 4-bet that spot. generally speaking, these ranges are going to be pretty tight when I'm opening here and then Landon's 3-betting next act. We were also 300 big blinds deep, I think. And what happens is in these spots, I didn't anticipate him having many 3-bet folds. So what ends up happening is we build a pot where I don't have too many 4-bet bluffs, and it becomes difficult for me to navigate on a ton of different board textures. And the other thing is I felt like when he does flat my 4-bet, it doesn't mean anything because he's still going to have his entire range to flat 4-bet. I don't think he's going to have any 5-bets. So he's going to have aces, he's going to have kings, he's going to have ace-king, he's going to have all these other hands. So me 4-betting doesn't really accomplish much aside from build a bigger pot against, maybe some of his weaker hands. If it were different positions, there would be for sure a 4-bet, in positions where ranges are wider. This is just going to be a tighter range situation. And to be honest with you, I was pretty surprised to see him show me ace-10 actually in the spot. What's up, Curtis? How's it going, man?
All right. 2 real aces are probably going to be an open.
Yeah, I mean, Ethan, for sure, like Ethan had a tough time at this table. The difference between Ethan and Marley at this table is that Marley wasn't getting out of line too much. Ethan was just trying to put himself in positions and go after it. Marley was also pretty card dead, I think, so it's kind of hard to see, like, I didn't really get a good idea of her game at all, honestly, playing 90 hands with her because she just didn't play that many hands and it just wasn't involved that much. Ethan, meanwhile, when you put yourself out there and you're involved in a lot of spots, it's going to be easier for you to get exposed by better players when you're just put in a bunch of uncomfortable situations.
In here, although again, like I said, still.
What's up, Ed? How's it going?
At least more playable than my other ones.
30.
Okay, so this is pretty interesting, and technically, this is mostly going to be a 3-bet, but in a spot like this deep, this hand actually plays calls here in the big blind a little bit. And I know it seems kind of crazy to do that, but yeah, we're gonna do that here because it gets in there a little bit. So we'll play this line.
So this is the funniest thing too. So if you see in the I keep referencing the comments and the live chat that was going on during this when they streamed it on Tuesday. So everybody was bemoaning my queen's flat pre-flop, obviously because I let ace-10 in there, which flopped an ace, and saying like how could I flat their pre-flop, and then also at the same time applauding Landon's flat here with ace-king, which I think is a completely fine play also. And Landon actually ends up going on to lose his hand, but because of the reputation that has been like cast onto Landon, and sure, I think Landon seems like a good player. Seems like he is putting in the work to get really good at the game or whatever. But because he's like been crowned here, it's like nobody is like, oh hey, what's he doing flatting ace king? They're like, yeah, I love. Actually, one of the top comments is love the play with ace king. Oh yeah. Called with ace king because he knows everyone's going to see this. He just protected his big blind calling range for years. Very smart. 46 likes. So great. I love it. I'm not salty either. I'm just telling you. I just think it's funny.
Right. I think big blind calling ranges here are going to be wide here. And here with bottom pair, I feel like we can go fairly thin just to protect it. It seems, at least in my head right now, it seems 50-50 whether we should be protecting bottom pair here or just check back. But I'm always in the mood to put in more money in the pot, so let's go do that. With 16 middle, we'll do 25.
25?
So he bets roughly half pot, which is actually pretty 25 into about 65. So yeah. Almost half pot, a little bit less, so it's going to be a fine bet on this board. It's pretty connected. I have hands that can connect. I have some 2 pairs that are pretty obscure, where he doesn't really have them. He has the sets in full, where I'm mostly going to be 3-betting jacks, but I am going to be calling from the big line here just a small amount of the time. This obviously isn't one of those times, but our hand just has enough inherent showdown value, as well as turns pretty well, because hands that he's going to barrel, like turns and rivers he's going to barrel on, are going to be hands that most likely give us the best hand and allow him to continue bluffing. So we're going to call here with that in mind.
I think both plays are standard here from both players.
So this turn is pretty good for us, as in we're going to be calling with our offsuit and suited combos of 6-7. And we could think about leading here, but not with this combo. And I would want to have hands that block straights, and not this one. But just something to think about when I check it.
Alright, well, we see like an okay turn, I guess, but I don't think it's a turn we can barrel on for 2 streets of value, even if I don't even know if we're playing for value anymore, but let's say we are. Pretty ambitious to bet turn for value here instead of turning my hand into a bluff. He just has, I mean, since he called big blind, he just has a lot of hands in his range that, I don't know, we can eliminate Jack 8, because I feel like he's going to be raising that with top 2 pair, but just so many hands, like any suited 8, suited Jack that are reasonable will be there, and I think they'll be calling here, so we're just going to check back. We might have barreled on any diamond turn, but obviously that's not the case here, so we'll check back and play a river.
Funny thing is, this is the episode where Ethan lost the most, and this is by far the best analysis he's had during this is the 6th episode. So it's funny how that works with poker. Answering these questions real quick. Live stream's gonna run late tonight. Definitely gonna happen. Johnny definitely seemed like he was pretty card dead as well. I mean, obviously it's 90 hands, and it's Johnny's in a tough seat. He's got Matt, who's playing lots of hands, me, and Landon all to his left. So he had a tough seat. And people are just results oriented. That's right, Pan. That's exactly what it is. Bobo, I don't understand your question. Isn't it actually worse to call versus Ethan than Landon? Not that either is bad. Which part of the hand, or which hand are you talking about, Bobo? Volume standpoint, you're a beast, but right now play less no limit than anyone at the table by a long shot, as you mainly play PLO now. Yeah, so I still play heads up no limit. I play all PLO, and I play online. I don't play live. Like, all of these guys are live players, I think. Matt has been playing online for the last year, and I guess Johnny's been playing a little bit on Poker Bros or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm an online player, but I can't. Yeah, I've probably played more 6-max no limit hands. I definitely have. I've played more 6-max no limit hands than everybody at the table combined, probably by 2 or 3x. I just haven't played over the last almost 2 years. So, I think it's like riding a bike type thing, especially with like live. I've played enough live poker to have the feeling, but there's definitely spots where I'm not as studied, which you'll see one of the last hands that we play here. I actually asked Landon about sizing on flop in multi-way pots, because it's not something I've studied much recently. I feel like Landon's much tighter than people think. He's as GTO as it gets. Maybe it's the hair. I think he just plays solid ranges, and I mean that wins. When you play solid ranges, that wins. And no, I don't play any PLO 5, Curtis. It doesn't go online, New Jersey.
This river's fine for us. He's mostly going to be barreling his queen 10s on the turn, just because they have a gutter and overcard and generates folds from ace high hands. But in this spot, our hand specifically is going to be a pretty easy check fold, depending on the size he chooses, just because I have a lot of one pair hands that can profitably defend versus his bet check bet bluffs. And we also still beat hands that he has like ace high, like ace 10 and ace queen, which is a very real portion of his overall range. So we're just going to check here and probably lose if he bets, and if he checks back, win a small percentage of the time, but that's just enough. We definitely can't bluff a hand this strong, because when you start trying to bluff hands like ace high here, especially like the nut kicker, you're basically trying to get your opponent to...
I look so bored right there.
And that's not going to happen very much.
Wonder what I'm looking at.
So we're just going to check.
I also want to say I've agreed pretty much with all of Landon's thoughts on every hand. His analysis has been very good. And like I said, it's clear that he's studied a lot of poker, and he's playing. He understands how to play his ranges, and that's how you win at poker. You're disciplined, and you understand how to play ranges in spots.
All right, pretty standard, just checking back with bottom pair, or essentially bottom pair.
Single raise pot, right?
Low frequency call.
Just what you rolled a 5% in your head or something?
No, it was more like the spot appeared, so I wanted to do it. Yeah.
Just wondering.
Oh yeah. Gotta keep these kids on their toes.
Kids. Listen to this guy. What are you, like 10 years younger than everybody here?
Can you do it for?
No, I call big blind.
Oh.
Spicy.
Marley.
Oh.
For some
This is exactly right. Play solid ranges and win. Play solid ranges well and win loads. It's exactly that's the way it is. That's the way it works in even 6-handed poker, but especially in 8 or 9-handed poker. What music was I listening to? I had a lot of different. I had Thrice. I had Juice WRLD. I had Linkin Park, and then I had a mix of some sappy romantic love songs.
Alright, so we were just talking about the skinny, so I don't really see how I'm not going to open it suited and everything. We're going to do it and hope that the 3 players behind don't end up with the cold 3, 4, and 5 this time.
There was a hand in here that Marley opened Jack 8 suited in the cutoff and won. She basically, all the pots that she played were her winning pre-flop, pretty much. So it wasn't like throughout, this is episode 6, there's been very few opportunities for Marley to explain her thought process. Curtis said, would have been curious to see if Ethan would have put in the 4 bet with ace 5 suited with Landon 3 bet. Yeah, if I had to guess, I don't think so in those positions. I don't think he would have, but possible. I like Matt just getting after it, man. Like, just raise it up with the 3-2 suited in spots where everybody's 3-betting every hand.
We're just talking about this hand.
Is that one of those spots where you had a light open? Yeah, you had a light open, you get through, you just win.
Yeah, this feels really good.
Oh yeah.
It's way better than any other hand I've won today.
All right, so this is the last hand.
Definitely on the border here, but been fairly inactive, so I'm gonna open it up.
With this hand, I'm going to be flatting here, similar to the way I flatted 4s earlier. It's going to make up a large part of my flatting range, just these pocket pairs and some of these suited broadways versus on the gun open, as well as suited aces. So just going to flat. So like David, I believe as David said in chat, he asked me if I'd be flatting good hands. So this is a spot that I would be flatting really strong hands also. For the reason being, I'm not going to be 3-betting Johnny in this spot very often at all. As he mentioned himself, he was playing very tight. He hadn't had many hands. He was card dead, whatever. So I just wouldn't be 3-betting very wide for that first reason. Second reason, I don't mind keeping the blinds in the pot. So in spots where you don't think people are going to squeeze too often and squeeze you out of these type of hands, then you're fine flatting it. And I also don't mind flatting this hand to a 3-bet either as well. And then I don't mind bringing them in with some dominated hands. Like I expect Rampage to flat a bunch of, once I flat, to flat a bunch of dominated diamond hands and Jack X hands and King X hands. So you don't mind bringing them in. The benefits of 3-betting would be to knock Landon out of the pot on the button, but that's not as much of a concern if you don't think he's getting out of line too much in this spot. So that's the reason for flatting here.
All right, with Trevor calling this, I think we have a playable enough hand, although out of position. We'll see a flop.
So that just goes to show, like, the 10-8 suited is going to call here, just like the dominated diamonds are going to call, and the dominated kings and jacks. So I want to bring those hands in, obviously.
Definitely not going to bet with this hand four ways. Just going to basically check and evaluate, most likely fold.
So good flop for my hand, obviously, flop top pair, and back to a flush draw, back to a straight draw. They checked me, and I'm just going to be betting here. I'm going to bet a little bit larger with the board texture as it is, and the fact that I'm not going to be betting super wide in this spot, so I'm going to bet 80. So the thing I wasn't sure about after thinking about this more is how you want to construct bet sizes in multi-way pots in these situations. Generally speaking, the way that I did it was I always would bet larger, so I went 2/3 here because I'm not betting a lot of hands. So I'm going to bet hands, my bluffs that are like some flush draws, some king queens, maybe some queen nine suiteds if I flatted that, and then I'm going to be betting king jack, ace jack, queen jack, jack 10, pocket jacks if I flat that, pocket tens, pocket fives, and those are the main concentration of hands. I'm probably not going to be betting a hand would I bet a hand like ace queen of hearts? I'm not sure that I would. If I was, then I think going smaller might be the thing. And if I'm betting a hand like ace 10 or king 10 or queen 10, but I think I'm probably checking back that as well. So I'm not really sure the way that you want to attack these board textures, because really, if I get raised in this spot, I'm not in love with my hand in this situation. The ideal situation is I get called. So do I want to bet smaller to ensure that I do get called? That's the question, I guess.
Actually checks around, and we actually have a piece of this, which is, I guess, okay. I feel like Trevor is very incentivized to maybe take down the pot here with a pretty large bet. Issue with this hand that we always play is that we're not really trying to hit pairs, because having a lot of kicker issues, he can really do this with really any 10, I feel like, as well, for value that beats me. The issue is when we're out of position and then we have two other players left behind, we're in a tough spot to play turns and rivers. I feel like
what's up, Mike
initially
Trout?
I really wanted to call, but now I'm just talking
Always
to
a
myself
fun week, buddy.
Talking about this more, thinking about folding, because we're just going to run into a bunch of issues when we don't really have a plan for turns and rivers. And if we take this multi-way, how often is our hand good here? How often is our 8-kicker good up against only value? I guess semi bluffs would be king, queen off, and you can definitely have queen 10 off, king 10 off, even 10-9 off could do this, but it's a really large sizing. Yeah, now I'm just battling back and forth about whether I should be folding or calling this. And position definitely matters right now. It's incentivizing me to fold, but we still do have Marle behind, who's going to be, I don't know how often she's going to connect with this board here. Well, we're just going to fold. Alright, we made the decision. We're folding.
No hero calling with this hand. Gotta let it go.
Do we all have the same hand, or? Do we all have the same hand?
I don't know.
I had a small pair.
I had 7-6 of hearts.
I think I made a nit fold.
Huh?
I think I made a nitty fold.
You had 10?
I had a 10, yeah. I don't know.
Tough spot, 2 people behind you.
I was like,
I would have called his ass.
Should've.
Yeah, Kratok. So King Jack feels indifferent if you get raised. Probably not a winning call, but folding feels bad too. So usually in those spots when you feel indifferent when you get raised, it's usually not a good situation to be betting. The problem here is when it's a multi-way pot and you have to bet, you're betting for value and protection, and then you kind of have to navigate from there. If it's a heads-up pot and you don't feel good getting raised, or you're indifferent getting raised, then that's a little bit different. Then you have the option to check back and play some turns and stuff like that. So that's where it becomes pretty. Yeah, and 10-8 is an easy fold with 2 left to act for sure. Yeah, I agree with you, Curtis. If you're playing in a tough table like this, then opening 3s might be too wide. The one thing is, he's actually kind of protected in this under the gun spot, because if Landon and Matt are thinking the same way that I'm thinking in this spot, we're not going to be 3-betting him very often. So he's going to get to see the flop with the 3s when he opens. And he's opening into Ethan and Marley's blinds. So it's going to be a spot that he's going to want to be opening. So I don't think it's the worst hand open. So like in 6-max games online, at least last I checked, there was huge samples of hands that show opening deuces through 5s under the gun is just a losing play, even in very soft games. And if you get in tough games, then it's definitely a losing play. So, yeah, that's just going to be a losing. Again, this is going back 2 years and looking at huge databases from millions and millions of hands showing deuces through 5s as losing hands, opening under the gun in very soft lineups. So I can only imagine it's worse in tougher lineups. What's up, Fortune? How's it going, man? He said, it's awesome you played more 6-max no limit hands than everyone at the table combined. How did you work on your game when you did play 6-max no limit? Who did you learn from? I always learn the most by just playing. So I just played millions and millions of hands and learned that way by just getting after it and putting in the volume and learning as I went along. The things that I learned the most, by watching opponents who I thought were good. So in the games that I played in New Jersey, I played a lot with Jake Toole and Greg Merson, and I would just watch what they were doing and what adjustments they were making, and either they were studying or they were getting better in some ways, and so I would learn from what they were doing and try to implement things that they were doing into my game. And then I always played kind of from an exploitive standpoint, so I would get to know the players I'm playing with in and out. I would study them specifically. So I spent a lot more time, rather than studying, like watching videos on Run It Once or something like that, I would go through my database of millions of hands and break down my individual opponents' tendencies. And I would spend, say, 3 to 4 days or 5 days on one person, just studying every single line that they've taken and what types of ranges they show up with those lines. And then my memory is really good, so I would implement that into my game plan when I was playing. But I was always just a player. I wouldn't spend a ton of time studying and things like that. If I were to go back and play no limit 6-max now, I feel like I would have to put in a lot of work using solvers, playing online, and I could probably get up to speed a little bit by watching some other opponents that I play with, that I would be playing with, and learning from them. Because that's when the solver started coming around is kind of when I started getting out of 6-max, but there was people using solvers at the time, so the people that were using them, I would pay attention to what they were doing with bet sizing, and then learn from them how they're attacking different board textures and things like that. But yeah, so just basically playing tons of hands and then studying individual opponent tendencies, which is a lot easier to do in small player pools, and then obviously learning from my opponents who I have a lot of respect for their game, and coming up with my own style that I feel comfortable with and confident in. I think that's something that gets overlooked a lot, is that people are trying to emulate other people's styles, and if you're trying to emulate something that you don't feel comfortable doing, it's going to be hard for you to execute on that game plan. So you need to have a game plan that works within your style while also obviously being a profitable style, being profitable decision making. So I have always trusted myself to make good decisions and to understand how to manipulate situations so that they're advantageous to me. So if I think that certain opponents are really difficult to play against out of position, then I'm going to play tighter. It's just, you can play tighter against them out of position, minimize the amount of mistakes that you can make against them out of position, and then take advantage when you're in position. Very simple things. Play good ranges. Jody, you coming in? Oh, you're waiting for Andrew to fall asleep. Okay, so Jody will be in shortly, guys. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the chat. If you guys can hit that like button for me, I appreciate it a lot. Also, just real quick before I answer any more questions, if you guys can give our podcast a listen, it comes out every Wednesday, 5 a.m. Eastern. If you search for Raising the Nuts on any podcast platform, you can find the podcast. We talk about all kinds of life stuff. We talk about poker. We do Jody Thinks on there, which we'll do here in a little bit. And yeah, we have just a good time, and I think you guys will enjoy it quite a bit. And additionally, if you guys are into any kind of Raising the Nuts merchandise or some other poker merchandise, go to pokerrags.us. Yeah, deuces through fives. Just fold them onto the gun and you're fine. Do I coach at all or do study sessions or whatever? I have done some coaching. I do some coaching now, but not so much anymore. I'm not taking any new students or anything like that. I'm way more interested in doing like mental health type stuff, and I don't know if you want to call it life coaching or whatever you want to call it, where I can help other people improve their life, through the things that I've learned and experienced. But right now, honestly, just really focused on my throat. Trying to clear my throat. Really focused on grinding a lot of hours while the games are still good and I'm fresh, and then just kind of doing the normal routine that we have with our family and taking care of the kids and whatnot. So my studying right now for PLO is through Vision. I use the Vision software from Run It Once. So that is the studying that I do for PLO. And I do it usually if I don't have any action. I'm just waiting for action. I've been running through a lot lately. I talked about this on the podcast actually, because there's a good chance that Michigan combines player pools. Right now my player pool is New Jersey only, and I play a lot of shorthanded PLO. So once we switch to having some more 6-max PLO, I'm going to have to learn some pre-flop ranges, because right now they're not very strong, because they don't have to be. So working on that to get better at my pre-flop ranges, understanding what hands I really should be playing versus what I shouldn't be playing. Because when you're playing with really bad players, you can get and you can manipulate them post-flop. You can get into situations where it doesn't really matter what your hand is pre-flop as much. What's up, Mark? How's it going? Good morning to you. Hopefully Jody will be coming in soon, because I need some water. It's getting hot in here. I need to turn the air down in here. Whew. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the chat for me. So Curtis, here's the thing. I think it'll be okay for me if they combine with Michigan. The thing is, currently, I really, really, really enjoy shorthanded games. And as it is right now, I get a lot of shorthanded games. And if Michigan were to come in, it would be more likely that there's a lot of 6-handed games, which is fine. And my hourly will probably go up a bit. But my enjoyment factor goes down a bit. I enjoy being able to play one, two, or three tables at the most of shorthanded action, and for longer periods of time. And I know that's kind of silly. Like I like playing 6-7 hour sessions where I can feel relaxed and chill and get up and go to the bathroom if I have to or whatever, as opposed to if I have, let's say, like last Saturday, I had 8 tables going of 6, like a lot of them were 4-handed or 5-handed. And I did play for 7 hours, but afterwards you're just burnt. Like, I'm toast. So usually I have to play 4 or 5 hours in that session. And again, my hourly is higher, so that's great. But my enjoyment, that's the reason I got away from 6-max no limit, was because I had played so many hands. I played, 12 tables for 6 years or whatever it was, over 1 million hands every year. And at the end of every session, you just feel burnt out and you feel like you can't focus. I can't answer questions from the kids, and I'm just drained for the rest of the day. So being able to play less tables, focus more on individual actions and exploiting individual player tendencies in a shorthanded format where you can play a lot of hands is a lot more enjoyable to me. So I would almost rather play in that environment and make less money per hour even though that seems silly, just because it's more enjoyable to me. Yeah, still mainly playing Omaha. Haven't shared any of the quad goals on IG. Rest assured, Mark, that I do get quads a lot. Fortune, the Vision software is it's a GTO trainer for PLO. So basically, you can put in a bunch of different outputs and see what, based on the positions and the board texture, what the solver says is the optimal play. But there's also a trainer, which is what I've been using a lot lately. So I can put in the stack size of myself, which 100. You can pick 50, 100, or 200 big blinds, and then you put in the position. So let's say I put in the button, and then I hit generate, and it'll bring up a bunch of different hand. It'll show me a hand, and it'll ask whether I should raise or fold it. So it's a quiz, basically. And then if I'll say raise or fold, and it'll show me if that's correct, and it'll show me what of the hand classes that I should be raising with. So it's just basically a trainer to get better at poker. Yeah, life EV greater than dollar EV for sure, 100%. Jody, where you at? We need to play some Jody Thinks. We got to get the live stream going. Episode 65. It's just me here chatting, answering questions, hanging out, and I need water badly. Let's see, what else can we talk about? Oh, let's look at some comments while we're here. Why don't we look at some comments? Let's do it. So my comments in there, obviously it's an important one. This is a good comment. The great thing about these videos is I don't even need to watch. I can just come straight to the comments and listen to what the real pros have to say. That's great. I hope Landon keeps studying and working a ton and doesn't get too cocky. He is on a crazy fast pace through the ranks. Oh, here you go. Dude got in 180 blinds pre with Jack. Sick cooler. For sure not a sick cooler. Barely a regular cooler. Dumb question, but shouldn't they discourage looking at the player whose turn it is to act? Yes, it was discouraged. We did not look at each other when it was our turn to act. So you didn't have to worry about that at all. Let's see what else we got. All right, this is an interesting one. Not really interesting, but Street Soul Lover. The natural 4-bet bluffs for Landon in the small blind versus raise and 3-bet from the cutoff and button include a large number of ace-jack offsuit. With this double block by Jack-Jack, it makes an even easier fold. I honestly would prefer to have 10s in the big blind defending against a 4-bet from the small blind in this configuration, which seems weird, I know. Yeah, I think this is the case of using blockers in an incorrect way. So, like, just because he has some ace-jack, he's also going to have some hands like ace-10 offsuit also. If he's going to have ace-jack, it's the same hand. So, there's not really much of a difference there. And, yeah, Jack, it's more important having an ace in your hand if you have an ace from the big blind in Rampage spot. All right, Jody's here. Wonderful. Great. Fortune said, it's great to find lower hourly games where you're happier. I've definitely taken a pay cut once or twice to be happier and never regret it. Yeah, definitely true. Were you all playing with your own money? Looked like Landon just gave Ethan money back after stacking him. Yeah, we were playing with all of our own money. He gave him... We didn't have change. So I think the production staff gave Ethan maybe like a 1K or something, or two 1Ks, or I don't remember exactly, but Ethan gave Landon the 1K or whatever the big chip was, and Landon gave him change. All right, you got to talk for a little bit now. We're gonna get rid of this screen here. All right, so now we're into.
I got nothing to talk about. I'm so tired.
All right, well I got to get water.
I'll get you water.
I just sat here talking.
Trevor.
Okay, fine. All right, let's get rid of this. Here. We'll get rid of that. There we go. All right, here now. We're in the live stream now. I'm bigger now. Whew. And Jody will be back in a minute. So on the live stream here, this is episode 65. It'll be a shortened live stream. But what we normally do here is play a game called Jody Thinks. We play this on the podcast. We're going to play it here in the live stream. If you're here, we're going to need your help. Jody's very tired, so we'll see if she can even think at all. But here's the game. You put a word, a phrase, or a question in the chat, and then Jody will give her thoughts about that word, phrase, or question. If you have a question for her, ask her, and normally some kind of conversation comes up, and, that's how it goes. So you ready to do this?
Yeah.
She's ready to do this. She's very tired. She's ready to do this, though. You want to come over here? You want me to move this way?
Come over where?
I don't know.
Sit on your lap?
Yeah, sit in my lap. You can't move
Oh,
it too far over.
Why? Why does that do that?
I don't know.
No. No.
There we go.
Oh my
All right.
God.
Get in the mix. All right, it's just gonna be all Mike Trout giving words.
I'm afraid I'm gonna hit your toes.
All right. Mike Trout said, "I feel compelled to point out that chocolate eclairs are basically just cream-filled donuts with a different name. Not sure how you can hate one but love the other."
Because the ice cream bar is not like that. It's not. There's no cream. It's just like a vanilla ice cream bar with like crunchy pieces on the outside. I don't like donuts. How tired I am. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Donuts are like cream-filled donuts are disgusting. I just don't. I don't want to bite into a donut and have shit ooze out of it. I don't like it. I'm too short for this. Or your desk is too high or something. Like, I'm just constantly... I need to sit on a pillow or something.
Yeah, so Mike Trout has never heard of an ice cream eclair.
Okay, so I'll show you what it looks like.
It's a good humor bar. You don't know what a good humor bar is? All right, let's go up here. We got a bunch of entries here. Kratok, Ace Jack versus Ace 10, so trivial. Just a frequency question more than anything, and Landon is certainly balanced enough to have bluffs. Exactly. Exactly right. That's what she said. I like it. All right, you ready? Is that good humor?
It actually is good humor. See? This is what I would eat.
So they're talking about something from the podcast, if you guys are wondering. All right, you ready? Helium.
We did this already.
You did helium already?
Pretty sure, yeah. Like, because I said something
Oh, you did, that's
about...
right. Yeah. Arsenic.
That is so weird. Because I was just talking to someone about arsenic and rice.
Really? In rice?
When did I go? Yesterday. Yesterday, I was talking to somebody about arsenic and rice.
So there's arsenic in rice, like
So-
white rice?
No, arsenic in brown rice because it absorbs it from the ground when it grows, and then when you don't take the outer layer off, that's where the arsenic resides. So it doesn't matter whether you consume organic rice or whatever, it's in there. So if you eat white rice, which is really better anyway, then you're not consuming the arsenic.
Zipper.
Something about Mary.
Yeah, this is like Dwan things. Yep. Truancy.
Oh, fuck truancy. Fuck that shit. Oh my god. I get so many letters in the mail this year about... We always get them anyway because the kids miss school for like cheer competitions or if we travel or whatever. So we always get things. What are you doing?
Oh, jeez. I didn't know who that was.
Are you serious?
No, I have no idea.
Okay. So we always get stuff in mail saying that they've missed too many days or whatever. But their grades are always fine, so we don't really get in trouble. But this year we're getting them nonstop because they instituted this policy that the kids have to, even though their teachers take roll on Zoom, they have to every day, 5 days a week, whether they're in the building or not, they have to fill out an attendance survey, which just says, will you be attending school today, yes or no? And they have to fill it out. And if they don't fill it out, then they're marked absent, even though their teachers take roll in every single class. It's just about the stupidest thing ever. And so Ava has a million absences because she forgets to do her attendance survey all the time. Cam somehow remembers to do it every single day. It's pretty amazing. But yeah, it's a joke, and so I just keep ignoring it and don't give a flying fuck. And if they call me and try to take me to court, I'll tell them to kiss my ass.
All right, this guy. How do you say this guy's name?
Derek Chauvin. Is that who you're talking about?
Oh, is this your phone?
You did it again.
That's your phone. I went in my phone. This is a disaster. What's going on? Where's my phone? All right.
Well,
Yeah. What are your Jody thinks on that?
my thoughts are that he's a piece of shit, waste of space, human being, and I hope he rots in prison.
Bunnies.
Like rabbits?
I don't know.
No, it makes me think of the same thing as last time it got brought up, which is the TV show You.
Oh yeah, that's right. Aces.
I picture Ace playing cards.
Grease.
Grease lightning. And then Greece, the beautiful place that I would love to go to one day.
Jelly beans.
Ugh. But jelly beans also remind me of my dad's dog, which we did on the
Oh yeah, we did that
the
on
podcast.
mental health.
Today, I talked to somebody in the mental health field, and it was a great conversation.
Siblings.
I have one brother.
You're full of life tonight.
I'm not. I'm exhausted. I'm so tired.
Do you want to tell everybody that we're just going to bed instead?
Maybe.
Mike Trout.
I do need sleep. This name screws me up so much because I know I'm familiar with Mike Trout, who's in our live stream, even though his name is not actually Mike Trout. His name is Dave Reed. And now I can't look at him like he's a Dave. I can only look at him like he's a Mike Trout. And then I see stuff on like Twitter and wherever else, and it says something about Mike Trout, and I'm like, what? And then I'm like, oh wait, that's a baseball player.
He's a baseball player from around here.
Yeah, and it confuses me. And I also, when I worked at True Green Chemlon back in the day, one of the salesmen's name was Mike Trout.
Huh.
But he's not the baseball player.
All right. Kratok said, biggest piece of expecting dad advice other than don't buy her an aspiring wheel shirt. Oh, that's a big yawn. Wait, where's Daniel Kim at? Daniel Kim, did you leave early tonight? What's happening?
Oh my god, I'm so tired.
Biggest piece of expecting dad advice other than don't buy the expecting mother an aspiring whale shirt. Everybody else should buy an aspiring whale shirt.
I've never been an expectant dad, so I'm not sure.
Okay, how about expectant
parent?
parent?
I was gonna say, like, support her any way that she needs, because that's important. And be kind when the hormones go crazy. That's important.
Was I kind?
Yes, always. Always, always, always. We just talked about this on
Just
the
looking
podcast.
just looking for compliments.
Why are you fishing for compliments? I don't give you enough?
I mean, you can never have too many compliments, right?
Listen, I tell you all the time how amazing you are, even though you ignore me when I talk in here.
I'm talking about poker, man. I'm trying to stay focused on this the poker hour.
I was asking if you're soft.
I'm not. I was pretty soft.
And there was something else, too. What else did I say? I don't remember.
Snapchat.
I'm just going to take a little nap.
No, you got to answer these, and then we'll hang up at 9:15.
Snapchat is dumb. I don't pay attention to it. I have it, and I never look at it, and I get really fucking irritated when I get Snapchat notifications, because then I just got to clear it out, and it's always dumb shit anyway. It's never anything exciting. It's Snapchat telling me that somebody updated their story. Like, I'd give a flying fuck. If I wanted to see it, I would open it myself.
Raising the nuts.
This?
Kratok, you're gonna have to clarify this one. Her being the fiance.
I think he's saying...
buying. Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Don't buy her in a spine. Yeah, I got it. Okay, makes sense.
Yes.
Poker rags.
The shit. Place a big order.
Black or color for tattoos?
I don't know. It depends on the day. I have both.
Jack Black.
Jack Black? That makes me think of Jack Black, the actor.
Do you like him as an actor?
Yeah, he's funny.
What's your favorite Jack Black movie?
I'd have to see the list of movies,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
The
come on.
Holiday is
Yeah, it's got to be The Holiday, right?
What, you like School of Rock?
Well, I like School of Rock. I mean, meant for you. The Holiday has to be your favorite Jack Black movie.
Hold on.
What?
Hold on. Back up. Why is The Holiday obviously my favorite movie when you are the king of rom-coms?
I love The Holiday, but School of Rock is just a great movie. The Grand Canyon.
Never been there. This is really bothering me that I'm so low. All right, I'm better.
Blackjack.
21.
Karen.
It's my aunt's name.
Online schooling.
Just the fucking worst thing that's ever happened. I mean, obviously it's not really the worst thing that's ever happened, but it's not been a pleasant experience.
Camouflage tattoos.
What the hell does that mean? Like getting camouflage tattooed on you? If that's the case, I'm gonna give that a big thumbs down.
When you hear Karen, give the description you think of.
What? The haircut and a white woman who's pissed off at nothing and she probably needs to get laid.
Hotline call.
Hotline call? Like a sex phone operator?
Dalton said, shout out to Jody for not repeating every word.
I just did it.
I know. Paris snail.
The fuck does that mean?
Paris snail? I don't know. I know what parasail is. What's a parasnail? Let's see. Parasnail. Oh, Pornhub was the first thing that came up.
What's that?
Parasnail is designed to assist in an emergency situation. It gives the crew time to call for help or fix the problem. It's an 11.5-foot sea anchor with a 40-foot tether line.
I got nothing for that. Nothing. I don't know anything about boats and sailing.
What's up, Rick? Good luck to you. He said he downloaded the Audible version of Can't Hurt Me. Looking forward to listen to it. I think you'll enjoy it quite a bit, Rick.
I'm almost done. I was reading it today because Trevor and Cam were at the baseball fields, so I was trying to finish it, but no such luck.
Raising Nuts fan base.
Awesome. Really nice.
Duncan.
Better than Starbucks.
Falcon. What's up, Ben Adler? Thank you very much for the $1.99. Very much appreciated it. He said, hey guys, sorry I'm late. I hope I'm forgiven. Do you forgive Ben Adler?
No way.
I always forgive Ben Adler. Curtis said Jody's been getting fit. She got the guns.
Look at that.
No,
big gun.
You gotta actually make the muscle.
I have a hard time making a muscle over here. I have to do it over here.
You gotta do it.
Do it over here.
You gotta go like this.
Wait, let's go this way. No, look, I have man arms. I don't like it.
You just have strong muscles. That's all. Somebody's got to have the strong muscles in the family.
And I'm really swollen right now. Like, my rings are super tight. My face is freaking puffy. I need sleep and water.
Problems associated with ignoring mental health.
A lot? I don't know. There's a lot.
Sleeping.
Oh, so good. I can't wait to go off to Dreamland tonight.
This next one's pretty funny, Cray Talk, because he wrote at Jody, but it comes up as at Jody G Spot, because he's saying G Spot is the word, but it looks like he's asking about your G Spot.
I'm not really sure what to say here. What comes to mind first when you hear that?
When I hear G Spot, honestly, yeah. Do you want me to say honestly?
I don't. I'm afraid.
I think of.
I'm afraid. Whisper it in my ear.
It's gonna come up on the microphone.
No, you gotta whisper it
Here,
in my ear.
I'll show you a picture.
No.
I got vetoed.
Nah, we're good on that, bro.
Oh, I got vetoed.
Next.
Dalton said I have a tattoo of Pocket Kings on my right shoulder. What are your thoughts on that?
What?
He has a tattoo of Pocket Kings.
I don't know. Tattoos are cool.
SR71. Do you know what that is?
Nope.
Me neither. Let's see. Looks like it's a strategic reconnaissance aircraft. The Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird.
Wow. I don't even know what the hell that is until Trevor just brought
Listen,
it out.
Ed, if you have a problem with her, Jody Thinks, you can talk to her tomorrow night, okay?
What?
At Barks.
What do you mean he's got a problem?
you know,
You cannot have a problem with my responses. It's my responses. If you have a problem with it, anyone, you can shove your problems up your ass. Because it's Jody Thinks, and I'm Jody, and that's the way it goes.
all right, let's do a few more here and wrap this up because
Okay.
I'm sweating.
All right, let's do it.
Ed liked that one. Crossfaded.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
Tribal tattoos.
Well, they used to be really popular, but they're not so popular anymore. Trevor has one, though. Sort
Is
of.
this really a tribal tattoo?
I guess not. It kind of looks like it.
Splitting a dinner check 9 ways.
Awful. Awful. And if you ever go out to dinner with Trevor and you try to split it 9 ways, he'll steal the check and pay for it
Yeah.
because he can't take it.
Yes. If you don't want to pay for dinner, just offer to split the check 9 ways, and then I'll just take care of it. Osama Vin Diesel.
What?
I told you if you want to if you have a problem with Ed's things here,
What does that mean?
I don't know. Little Nas X.
I just saw him. Was he just in the news recently? Oh, he was. You know why? You know why he was in the news recently?
Why?
Because he made a Nike shoe. It was him and somebody else, but it was not an official Nike shoe. Like, it was a Nike shoe, but it wasn't released by Nike. And it was called a vampire shoe or something.
Okay.
And so it had his likeness, it was like for him, whatever. And it had every single pair in the like bubble part had a single drop of human blood that was donated. They did like finger sticks of all the crew of people that were making it. And it was like a limited edition, and they were super expensive. Let me see.
I don't think that's not something I really want to get.
It was the Satan shoe.
Okay.
It had human blood in it.
Interesting. I don't want a Satan shoe. I'm just gonna nobody get me one for my birthday, please. I'm not gonna wear it.
And they were and it had a bronze pentagram, an inverted cross, and a drop of real human blood. And they sold out almost immediately. They were Air Max 97s. And they sold 666 pairs, and they were $1,018 a pair.
All right. I mean, how do you not make it $1,069, right, Mike Trout? Right?
How did you not make them $666?
True. Oh, that's a good point.
Why are you scratching my head like I'm a dog?
Qualified immunity.
That's like a legal term, isn't it? I don't know what that means, and I'm too tired to figure it
Kratok
out.
said, "Not man arms. You're just fit."
Thank you.
I agree.
Thank
Felt
you.
porn. Do you know what felt porn is?
Is that like pictures of the poker table?
So, the chip porn is like if you have a bunch of chips, like chip porn. Well, felt porn is you have no chips left. It's just the felt.
Well, that's not porn. That's awful. What's good about that?
Sodomologist.
Is that somebody who sodomizes people? What the hell is that? Are you a sodomologist?
I think it's... No, it would be somebody who studies the act of... Well, yes, but it's somebody who studies the act of sodomizing, I believe.
Okay.
Bliss. Sodomy?
Wedded bliss. No. Wedded bliss. 12 years of wedded bliss with you.
Is it 12?
This year?
This should be 12. Yeah. Blackbird.
I kind of pictured a military thing again, but I think that's Black Hawk, right? Black Hawk.
Air Force Ones.
No. I don't like them.
Let's end on this one. All
I
right.
don't like them. I'm just saying I don't like them.
I know. Let's end on this one. It's from Ed.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to answer this one, okay?
I saw it already.
What's the worst candy ever? The definitive worst candy ever.
There's a lot of really bad candies. It's got to be some kind of like those lemon things or something. They just taste like dirt.
Like a lemon drop?
I don't know.
Like the balls?
Yeah, they taste like dirt. Anything like that. Basically anything that's not chocolate is just fucking disgusting.
Nerds? You like nerds?
I liked them a little bit when I was younger. If I ate one now, I'd probably vomit. But
all right. All right, so
Oh yeah, those orange circus peanuts. They are nasty.
Jeff coming out of left field with that one. That is 100% right, Jeff. Yes,
They're gross.
They are terrible.
They're not good at all.
I remember. Do you know how in the grocery stores they have like you could like scoop the candy out into like bags or whatever, or like I don't know. They would always have grocery stores would always have back in the day.
I know what you're talking
And
about.
you know, if you were a bad kid, you would just go and start eating out of the things, right? Which is what I did.
No, not me. Are you kidding me?
But I didn't say you. This is what I did.
Rule follower.
I grabbed one of those circus peanuts and I was like,
Oh.
oh, it was the worst thing I've ever did.
It's like when what the hell did he put in his mouth? Will Ferrell in Elf. He put something in his mouth and he's like, ah! What was it?
It was like the gum from I don't know what it was.
No, he liked that. It was something else that
Yeah, I
he
don't
put in
remember.
his mouth and he hated it.
Best candy, white chocolate Reese cups. What do you think about that?
No, I don't like white chocolate at all.
There's so many candies that I love.
Best candy ever is none.
Really? It has to be candy that you like.
What I liked when I was younger?
Reese peanut butter
Yeah,
cups, right?
my favorite was the Reese peanut butter cup. But
You don't like the white chocolate though?
No, I don't. I don't like white chocolate at all. I think it's nasty.
All right. Answer Mike Trout's Space Jam one, and then we're gonna wrap it
I
up.
don't think I ever saw Space Jam.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Might have to
That's
put
the
that on
one
the
with
list.
like Bugs Bunny and some Michael Jordan, whatever.
Yeah, we'll put that on the list to watch together.
No, I'll pass. Thank
All
you.
right, so guys, thank you as always for being here. Please check out the podcast. Search for Raisin Nuts on any podcast platform. Comes out every Wednesday, 5 a.m. Eastern. 88 episodes in so far, so there's a lot of catching up to do if you want to listen to all of them. And
We don't have any grapes, by the way. No.
oh, I didn't see that. Sorry, Dalton.
I look like a miserable bee tonight.
Also, good
Not
night,
miserable,
Dalton. We love
just
you, buddy.
Really tired.
Um,
Yes. Good night.
All right, I think that's it. And we'll be back here again Thursday next week. Have the oh yeah, if you're in the area, also we'll be at Parks tomorrow night. If you guys
What
want to
did
come
I do?
up.
Come in here for 10 minutes and now we're leaving?
What, you?
Yeah.
You were here for 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
You came in at 8:50.
Really?
Yeah.
Listen, you have to move your shit along faster.
I was buying time. What do you mean?
No, what time did you end? I can't even think.
I could have
straight.
been done at like 7 minutes after. 8:37. So if you guys are in the area, come out to Parks tomorrow night. We'll be out there. Follow my Instagram. I'll probably post an update there or something.
What? Are you going to come out of Instagram retirement? Are you
Maybe.
okay? You have a fever?
Jody will post an update then. All right. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Or tomorrow. Or
Good night.
listen to the podcast. Bye. Hit the